Hey, it is 11:40 The Bet and Audacy Sports, and it's time to talk a little basketball, but also it's time to talk some wine. Joining us is a NBA champion, Channing Frye, a man that you can hear on the Road Tripping podcast. You can see it on NBA TV, and also his wine business, Chosen Family Wine. So as we start, Shannon, thank you for the time. I'm excited to have you here. There's a lot of different directions we can go with this interview, but let's start off with your baby and your business
Yeah.
with Chosen Family Wines. But I have to tell you, to be honest, in my life, I've maybe had like one or two glasses of wine just
Totally.
in general. And I'm here in Nevada. There's other things that are legal here that I used to take part of. But basically, my question is, what am I missing out on not drinking wine?
Well, I think it's, you know what, I think it's more the experience of something. I think what got me into it was just the conversation pieces, right? Where you're visiting, being outside, looking at new places all across the world, the history of it, like how hard it is to actually get some of that juice in a bottle, that process. And I think for me, being able to do this or do this business with Kevin also, who's on the Cavs, is pretty important. I think I've had some pretty awesome and pretty sucky moments around a bottle of wine. But I think it was just one of those things. It's just one of those things that I think is the most, out of any alcoholic beverage or any beverage in general, it creates the most conversation. And as much as talking as I do, this is a new world, and it's fun to be in.
So, with all that being said, do you have a recommendation for me? Because I'm on rookie
You know
baby when
what?
it comes to
No,
wine.
dude. We're all start somewhere, man. And I think it's not as my biggest goal is to not make it aggressive. Like how I talk to people getting into the industry is not how your parents were talked to get into the industry, right? There is a winery in every single state in America. Wine is more accessible than you think. There are some amazing people. There's wine in Cleveland. They make good Pinot Noir out there. They make ice wine. So I think for me, it's really like next time you go to a pizza place, right? Like, I don't know what part of Cleveland you live in, but let's say you live in Cleveland, right? You go to like a pizza place. You just go, I just want a white wine by the glass. Just try that. And what's this from? And just look it up. If you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. And then you go on from there. And then next time, maybe a day later, a week later, you go try something else and just explore till something catches your mind. And then you kind of start that journey. So it's really more about you. It's not about anybody else. It's about you enjoying that little sip of juice.
Look at you being so accepting. A lot of times people are very protective of their hobbies and the things, but I like the way that you're approaching it.
No, you
And
can't be into wine and keep it to yourself. It doesn't make sense, right? It's like, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, why would you want something? And then I think that was the problem that the wine industry is in now. It's like, you have this thing that is amazing, but the only way to justify that it's good is to make it elitist, right?
yeah,
I mean,
straight
there's
up.
certain places, right? There are certain places that just can only make so much wine, right? So it's hard to get. Now, that's fine. I get that. I'm all about it. I think that's amazing. But you're missing out on so many. The wine industry's drinkers are dying faster than we're getting new ones because we're just not talking to the right people, right? We're not making it inviting. We're not making it as inclusive or as fun as it should be.
And obviously with passions or hobbies, like it starts off, you get introduced to it, then you like it, then you
Yeah,
really like it. Now you're about that life. And for you, now it's a business. But for
yeah.
you, when did it really start for you where you took this seriously or you even explored the avenue of making this into a business?
Man, I would say like right after I said I was going to retire. So I was just like, man, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? Like, I put a stoppage on one thing, and now all of a sudden I'm like, damn, what am I going to do? What do I love? And so it just everything revolved. I mean, one other thing I wanted to do was have a teriyaki chicken food truck. Yeah.
A
So it'd
food
be like,
truck, I like it.
dude, but here's my thing. Here's my thing. Like, I'm a simple eater for the most part, right? But like if you have a food truck, it's like meat, rice, veggies, and then you could have teriyaki salmon, teriyaki steak, teriyaki pork. Like and mix and match all those, and you just get a bowl, right? Like I got a salmon bowl, right? And all it is salmon, veggies, and rice. And I was just like, dude, I'm so happy. Like I'm good. And for people that are trying to either lose weight or work out, or people coming from the gym, there's nothing easier than getting something like that. So I know it sounds like Chipotle, but my stuff would be more Asian, Hawaiian themed. But anyways, right after I said I was going to retire, that's when I really said, damn, let me see what I could do in this space. And it's grown. It is a lot of hard work, but I am really appreciative of this opportunity to make myself as a human a better person. Right? I've never had employees. I only had to rely on myself. And so now it's like a team of people that just trying to, work it all together and make sure everyone's on the same page. It's been hard, but great.
And did you still get that like sense of accomplishment similar to, accomplishing something on the court, right? With
Without
certain
a doubt.
aspects, right?
It's real life is really hard, man. Like, basketball, I just can rely on myself and go psycho, right? It's like if I'm not playing good, I could just go in the gym, put on some music and make 1,000 shots. Like when you are trying to start a business, without a tasting room for right now, especially for wine, it's like you're constantly, how do I tell our story? How do I encourage people to come visit, what we're doing, or take time out of their life to come see us, or to order online. So for me, it is really hard. And even when we make the little accomplishments, I'm just like telling our team, guys, this is great because, a week ago we weren't doing this, a month ago we weren't doing this, and now look where we're at. So we're pushing, we're striving.
No, I love it. It's some baby steps. You gotta celebrate every win. And you talk about the wine exploding, and particularly in the NBA, like it comes to mind. JJ Redick loves to talk about it. And there's many others within the industry and the basketball community. But for you, like who's really about that life that really knows their stuff?
Oh, JJ is way up there. JJ, so Josh Hart, Braun, Kevin, Tobias Harris. Did I already say Jimmy Butler?
You didn't?
Jimmy, Melo, CJ. That's all who I know right now. But those dudes, there's some dudes that really know. But I would say from personally talking, JJ would be up there, meaning like he's reading books about acidity and
he's got the analytics of wine.
Yeah. But which is fun because it's like a lot of people our age aren't reading those kind of books, right? And for me, I got to know most of this stuff. When you make wine or when you are in there blending barrels and you're to get nerdy, you got to actually know, what did you like about last year? What was it? What is this year? Like, you got to keep a memory, almost like a game plan for the different wines. So, yeah, but I would put JJ up there number one, probably.
You also have to be very cautious at team dinners, right? Does there ever get like a competition between players trying to order bottles and one-upping each other?
Hey, listen, if you ever get caught in that, order first, okay? White wine is 90% cheaper than big reds. Always order first, or just order a couple bottles of champagne or bubbles, usually between 60 and 80 bucks. Like, then you could be like, oh, here we go, guys. And then they go to work. But you started off the right thing.
Never be in the middle.
No, don't be in the middle because look, I remember we were on our run, as NBA finals, and we all went out to dinner, and there's basically the whole team. So I would say 13 out of 15 or something like that. So we're all at this table, and I was like looking around. I was going to order myself a bottle, and I was like, okay, how much is this bottle? Because I got to get 3 of them. So I got something from Oregon, right? So I went first, got I think it was a white Chardonnay or a Chardonnay from Oregon, and I got 3. Then the next bottle, let's say mine were $60 each, right? So that's 180. Each bottle, the next bottle that came out was like a Burgundy, so like a Pinot Noir from France, from the Burgundian region. Those are 180 a piece. So then it jumped. So then for dinner, people are ordering old Napa Cab, like vintage Napa Cab. I remember Kyrie ordered like his birth year Opus 1 or something like that, but 3 of them. So at that point, I was like, separate checks, homie, separate checks. And then finally, Braun and Kevin started busting stuff out. But by the time the dinner was, we were like $400 bottles of wine. I was like, man, thank God I went first.
Yeah, no, 100%. And let me transition, because you brought up your time with the Cavs, and before we started the interview, I told you I'm from Cleveland. So I guess I'll start right here. What's the coolest story you've gotten, whether in person or on social media, from someone from Cleveland kind of thanking you for being a part of the team to finally bring a title to Cleveland? Is there any of them that stick out?
Yeah. So I was in Vegas. I was doing something maybe for the Summer League. Now, this is just last year. And I was sitting at the sports bar, waiting for somebody, where I was there by myself, whether it was Allie or Richard had left or I'm waiting for them. Anyways, this guy comes up to me and he's like, hey, man, can I buy you a beer? I'm from Cleveland. I was like, oh, shit. I was like, okay, deal. Yeah. So I buy him. I was like, hey, man, sit down for a sec. So he's like, hey, I got to tell you that on my father is a diehard, Cleveland fan of everything Cleveland. And he was like, my dad was sick. And literally the last time that all of us were in his like hospital room was the night that he won, and he died the next morning. So like, dude, it's dark, but he was like chanting, and I was, damn, I'm so sorry. My parents died too, also all this stuff, right? So he was just like, no. He was like, dude, my dad was on his last leg and literally was holding out for this moment, and that I have never seen him. He was kind of explaining the situation. He was just, a lot of ups and downs. Yeah. He was like, my dad had the biggest smile, and it was like nothing was wrong in the world for 12 hours. And, we cried the next morning, but we also were ecstatic that he got an opportunity for his city, his team to win, like we did. So that is the one that sticks out the most, just because, obviously it hit home to me, but it just shows the quality of humans in Cleveland and Ohio in general. And then just the diehard fandomness.
Well, here we go, because now you have to hear my story. So give me a couple minutes, Channing.
Yeah, I got you.
Let's go 2015. I'm going to school in college in Florida. As soon as I graduated high school in Cleveland, went to Florida for school, used all of my Pell Grant, not on books, not on groceries, not on rent, to a trip back to Cleveland to visit home. And also it was the Eastern Conference Finals when you guys swept Atlanta, the 60-win team with Millsap, Horford, Korver, and all of them. Yeah. So go there, game 3 and 4. You guys handle business. It's dope. Flying back to Tampa, flight gets delayed. Does anyone want a $600 voucher? I was like, I'll take it. Used it to go to the finals. Was able to buy a cheap seat for game 6 of the Warriors. And obviously the Warriors end up winning.
Right.
Dude, they won. The janitors had to kick me out because I was so upset. I was like, if we just had one of them dudes healthy. And the other thing, ridiculous, because I'm not even on the squad.
Right.
During the presentation, because I didn't move, so I was still in the stands. Like, I put my head down, and in my head, I'm like, you don't look at that trophy until we win it next year. Fast forward to next year. So I spent that entire year saving up. I'm flying. I flew in Father's Day, game 5, right? When Steph gets ejected.
Yeah. Game throws 5, his mouthpiece.
Yeah, game 5, Father's Day. My dad doesn't know I'm coming to visit, and he doesn't know that I got him tickets. I land at 5 p.m. I'm in the very back because I don't pay for my seat because I'm a college student and I'm broke. Yeah. So I got the final seat, and I'm telling everybody in the flight, hey, I'm trying to make the finals like a movie.
Yeah.
Everyone parts the sea, lets me go through. Call my dad. I'm like, hey, Dad, can you pick me up from the airport? He's like, what do you mean pick you up from the airport? Are you here right now? What? Picks me up. We stop at a gas station. I change in the parking lot because we didn't have enough time. We go to the game. You guys end up winning. I end up staying in Cleveland that entire time. You guys finally won the championship. And just like that dude talking about his dad, like, truth be told, looking back at that moment, I'm so much happier for my dad, the fact that he got to witness a championship in Cleveland, more than I am for my fandom. So thank you. And I say all that I want to ask you because, listening to the podcast and, I've heard you talk about how, one of the main things that you wanted to do when you got to Cleveland was be kind of a connector and how important that
Yeah.
is to the dynamic of a team. I want to ask you how hard it was because you weren't on that roster at the beginning of the year. You got traded near the deadline.
Yeah.
So integrating yourself first and foremost has to be the first thing, and then to be the guy to get everyone together. Like, how difficult of a transition was that?
It was difficult, but it really wasn't, right? So when I was in Orlando, Richard, obviously I've known Richard God for, we were just saying, 26 years now. And we're playing Orlando and Richard, so I'm not really playing. And if I am, it's just whatever. Because I had asked for a trade. It was just like, we were going to get our head
whatever.
It was whatever, right? It was just not my happiest of days playing hoops. Great teammates, just
and Disney, let's be honest.
Disney sucks after one time, right? And so, Cleveland comes and beats the shit out of us, right? And Richard's like, man, come on, man, let me take you out for some margaritas. So I think it's just me and him. Man, we go there. It's me and the damn team. It's me and like the Cavs team. So I'm like, man, I'm not sitting here with y'all as like y'all beat the junk out of us, and now I gotta sit here, right? Like a used car salesman, just sitting here to y'all talking about the highlights. And one of them I'm in, right? Try to foul Braun, but then I was like, if I hurt him, I'm really not gonna trade him. So it's funny because I end up seeing Kevin hanging out. Rich's like, man, come to the hotel and hang out with us. No, we're not leaving tomorrow. You don't have practice. And I was like, no, I can't. I end up going over there, hanging out with them, meeting all them. And yeah, I think that, because that was the only time that had happened like that. That was when I got traded. It was easier for me to talk to all them. I was like, yeah, I just saw you 2 weeks ago.
Well, you guys went on a first date already. Like, you left your girlfriend. Yeah, we already
went on a first date.
You left your girlfriend you didn't really like.
Yeah. Toxic ex. But no. What, dude, my biggest thing, I've always said this, is like, I was in Orlando. We were getting our head busted. And we were practicing 2.5, 3 hours, right? Looking at film, like just miserable. No hierarchy within the team. Like, whose team is it? Is it Victor's or Vooch or Aaron Gordon or Elfrid Payton or Dwayne Dedman, or whose team is it, right? Evan Fournier. And so for me being a vet, I was just like, where do I fit in all this? And that's kind of why I asked for a trade. It wasn't like I didn't like any of the guys. It was like, I just want to know who's the man. Like, when we lose, who's going to get blamed? And so being able to go to Cleveland, these dudes were, had sticks up their asses. And I was like, are y'all joking? We don't practice and we beat people by 40? This is amazing. This is like the best thing ever. And I was like, guys, there's no way we have all these cool ass cats on this team and people don't hang out. So I just started putting people on a text thread, and then I would have a couple of glasses of wine and just send memes, like funny videos that are on Instagram or stuff like that. And so it started off as, God damn it, not again, Channing, right? Like, where are you getting this to? Hey, who's going to dinner, or who's going to lunch, or what is this? So it started off with that, and it turned into that. And then by the end, like during the NBA Finals, I'm pretty sure we spent 15 I would say 14 to 18 hours around each other. Like, consistently. You go to breakfast, you come back, you change, we meet downstairs, you go to lunch, you take a nap, then you go to dinner for 5 hours. You come back, like, dude, that was the most I've ever been around humans ever.
Just humans in general, let alone teammates.
Just grown men that much. We were like connected at the hip. It was wild.
Was there anything similar in your career with like another team? Because that bond that's special. It's a championship bond. Is there anything that comes close?
Not that many. So 2010, we went to the Western Conference Finals with the Phoenix Suns. We lost to the Lakers.
Steve Kerr, right? Steve Kerr is the head coach?
Yeah. No. Alvin Gentry was the head coach. Steve Kerr Steve Kerr was our GM, and David Griffith was our assistant GM. So that's how Griff knew me, right? Because when I left Phoenix, I had a conversation with him, and he was like, hey, I think you're going to be really good in Cleveland. And this is before they got Braun. So I had an opportunity to go there. And then I was like, in negotiations with Orlando, and I was like, man, I can't go there. There's all this money on the table right now. I can't wait 3 days for a what if.
Yeah.
So I go to Orlando, get paid. They get Kevin from a trade. They have Braun. They have Kyrie. They have Tristan. And I remember Griff was like, and I would see him, and we have mutual friends and all this. And Griff was like, man, we got to get you up here in Cleveland. And I was like, well, let me see how this works out in Orlando. And it was a year later. I was like, get me the hell out of Orlando. But Griff came and got me, man. That was crazy, and I attribute a lot of him to help me out that year, right? It was just like, Channing, we brought you in to do this, and that's all we need you to do. You're playing with two of the best players in the world. We don't need everything. We just need the best version of you.
Yeah, and it's a small world because obviously James Jones ends up being the GM of the Suns and stuff like that. And
Griff is in New Orleans, and Steve is, So it's a small world.
And before we get into the speed round to close out the interview, the final big question I want to ask you, because of course, LeBron's on the precipice. I think tomorrow, what is he, 26 points away from breaking that all-time scoring record?
Yeah.
What's the one thing that kind of sticks out in your head that you're going to tell your grandkids and your family when you're old about playing with LeBron that people might not realize?
That's a good question. I was listening to Charles Barkley the other day, and he had LeBron James 7. Now, if you got LeBron 3 with Kobe and Jordan, I'm going to argue with you, but it is what it is. But to have him outside the top 4 is ridiculous. And the reasoning is he's not mean. But, like, what player has had success of his caliber other than Jordan and Kobe being mean?
Not to cut you off. Let me just say this real quick.
Yeah.
He just passed Steve Nash on the all-time assist list. He's about to break the all-time scoring record within 2 weeks. That's all.
He's ninth in steals. And because we did this thing, I think LeBron has 16 top 10 records for almost every statistical category except for blocks, which is ridiculous. So for me, I'm just like, whether you like him or not, no one has ever been more accessible since the age of 16 in the history of the NBA, and nobody ever will, number one. Number two, what I respect about him is one I tell my kids is, we played 2.5 years really together, really, maybe a year and a half, 2. I could call my guy up right now and be like, yo, my kid needs a pair of shoes. Could you hook him up? Next day, they're there. He is genuinely one of the best teammates ever. And if you respect his grind of, I'm trying to be the greatest ever, while most of us are trying to just get minutes to play, or they want to be an all-star, they want to get a contract. He's not even thinking about that. He looks at the season. It is crazy to me that people think that this is a coincidence that he's 26 points away and they're going to play tomorrow against what team? Or tomorrow's OKC, right?
Yeah.
Oh, well, damn it. He scored too many points. But think about this. Think about it. The Bucks on Thursday against Giannis, who's an MVP, where Kareem played and started. And then now it's just that's a storytell setting. I won't be surprised if he has 24 tonight and then goes the next game.
Saves it.
Right. But who does that, right? It was for me, I'm like, man, I hope I could shoot 5 times. He's like, yeah, I think I'm going to get 24 and we're going to win, and then the next game we're going to build it up. I think tickets are now $29,000 or something like that to see it. And I wish I could be there, but I got to work. Obviously, I'm in Atlanta. But dude, you just don't get how he operates. People take it for granted, and I refuse to take it for granted because I took for granted watching him playing against Tim Duncan, and I look back holy crap, I had a chance to play my favorite player. You have to relish these opportunities, right? Obviously, battling against Kobe, Dirk, Kevin Garnett, Chris Bosh, Amari, right? That line of just great players, Shaq, Yao, Pau Gasol, all these guys. I want to just embrace all them instead of hating on all of them, but sometimes you got to put the guys where they're supposed to be. And if Braun's not in your top 3, what you watching?
No, straight up. And let's close this out with a quick speed round. First thought that comes to mind with each question. So we start off with best wine you've ever had.
1989 or 86 Chateau de Margaux on Thanksgiving 2 years ago. It was unbelievable.
Sounds expensive.
It
Dunking
was.
for the first time, was it a top 5 feeling in your life?
Oh, yeah. Quick story. I dunked it with two hands almost from the free throw line. It was my first dunk in a real game. And I ran into the stands and gave my dad a hug and got a technical.
You should. That is amazing.
I was like, yeah. But like,
Yeah.
I'm a freshman. I'm tall. So people are like, what the hell are you doing? They were like, act like you've done it before. I go, I've never done it before.
This is
And they were like,
first time. I'm
yeah, this
14
is
years
first
old. What do you think this is?
Well, dude, I was like 6'7". So it was just, I was growing, right? So it was just, yeah, I didn't, yeah. It was
That's
great.
amazing. That is amazing. Your most underrated score and why?
My most underrated score?
Yeah. That you played with
Ooh.
or played against.
That's a great question. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's Kyrie. I mean,
You mean underrated?
Yeah,
He
okay,
scored
not Kyrie.
60 off 20 shots.
Brandon Roy, is that underrated?
No, 100%. People forget. People forget about Brandon Roy.
Listen, he was handing out barbecue chickens like he was at Salt Lake in Austin. It was crazy.
More enjoyable doing the podcast or being on TV?
Uh that's a great question. I love being they're both different, right? It's like driving a boat or driving a car,
Yeah.
right? They both give you a different rush. I like being on a podcast because I could,
The freedom, right?
the freedom, but I love having the accessibility to millions of people and to be in a structure where I can argue with other really intelligent players when it comes to basketball.
Does the Kyrie trade to Dallas work out?
I think it does, and here's why. I think you're testing Luka out. You're renting Kyrie to see what's going on. I don't know if he gets a 4-year deal, so you really just opened up 32 million of cap space if he doesn't work out. So then you can go get somebody. But I also think you need another big dog with Luka. He's looking at everyone like Jalen Brunson will be like, man, give it a rock. Kyrie gonna be like, man, give me that rock. And now you got somebody that give you 25 and he's engaged. And you got two dogs that play how Jason Kidd likes to play.
The viral video of the little kids going crazy with all the celebrations and everything. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Oh,
Yes.
wait. You're talking about the little kids.
Yeah, they were like 5, 6, 7 years old. The little
Oh,
AAU game, and
no.
they're going crazy.
Super thumbs down.
Oh!
Super thumbs down. Dude, I would have snatched my son so quick, right? Like, I don't care if you're, having a good time, but like at a certain point, you're going to do that to the wrong kid who got an anger problem, get punched in the nose. And then I got to fight his dad. Now, then we in a lawsuit. It's too much.
3 more questions. This one I'm stealing from T-Mac. Would you rather have a jumper with no handles or have handles with no jumper for your career?
Oh, I could not imagine not having an absolute flamethrower for a jump shot. So fuck dribbling. Run me around like Steph Curry. Give me the jumpy.
I asked you most underrated score. I'm going to ask you most underrated player that you played with.
Oh, this is okay. So, I'm actually going to go. Somebody who's been hurt a lot this year, but I think is going to be ridiculously good is Brandon Ingram.
Okay, straight up.
I played with him 9 games in LA, and seeing where he is, I'm really like he's so weird, moving and gangly like Scarecrow Man, but he kills it.
No, 100%. And our final one, we like to call it my first million. So
Yeah.
Shannon, when you got your first big check while you were playing at Arizona, I'm kidding. When you got your first,
I wish.
when you
Probably
got your
spent it on beer.
Yeah, right. Your first big check in the NBA. What was your first big purchase that you made?
A car. So it was like a Mercedes CLS something. And then I got a dog, a boxer, which was a bad decision. His name was Brutus because he was absolutely psychotic. But those are my first 2 things. And then I just threw a party. in Vegas.
There it is. Yo, Shannon, thank you for responding
Thank you
to a
for
lot of
having
my
me.
questions by saying that they were great questions, really boosting up my ego. So I appreciate you.
It's a good question. I do this all the time, and these are good, thought-provoking questions.
No, thank you. Thank you. Be sure to check out Shanning's wine, Chosen Family Wines, chosenfamilywines.com. Of course, the Road Tripping Podcast handles on NBA TV. Hopefully, we talk to you soon enough. Shannon, thank you for the time.
Thanks, man.
There it is. Boom. Perfect. Thank you, bro. Y'all take care.
Yeah, man. You too.
Bye-bye.